Well, as you know, the Black Coaches Association over the last 4 years has been at the forefront of dealing with the minority hiring in relation to Division I football and Division I and 1AA through our hiring report card. And the hiring report card we put into place to evaluate the searches, where at the heart of the searches what we're trying to do is to increase the amount of diversity and inclusion in the process, and we monitor that. There are a lot of different phases that we've gone through in terms of arriving at where we are with this process. And at the end of the day, we're evaluating the numbers of individuals of color that are interviewed, the number of individuals of color that are on the search committees, the length of time of the search, how closely this search follows the affirmative action guidelines, and then we give it a grade. The football issue is at front and center, mainly because of not only the continued concerns that we've had about the numbers and the plight. When you look at today, being 7 coaches of color out of 119 opportunities on the Division I level, and you look at 1AA, there's 4 out of 103, and the numbers pale in comparison to the NFL, where currently there are 6 out of 32. So there is no rhyme or reason for those numbers to be out of whack as they are.
Why the discrepancy?
Well, I think the discrepancy, in our opinion, as we evaluate it, is that there are more decision steps on the collegiate level than there are on the NFL level. I think in the NFL level, there is an accountability piece. The Rooney Rule is in place. There's a fine. The fact that there's a general manager and an owner that make the decision, and the buck stops at the owner because the owner supplies the money. When you go to the collegiate side, you've got the athletic director, who has a say, of course, because it directly goes under his influence. But at the same time, there's the influence of the search committee. There's the influence of the executive search firms who are now involved in the high-profile searches. There's the president. There's the board of directors. And then there is the other influence that takes the financial piece of the significant donor. So you have anywhere from 6 to 7 different influences upon that decision. And still at the end of the day, I think the pressures that are involved with this a lot of times inhibit an athletic director possibly making a decision where he has to weigh 1 or 2. So I think there's something grossly wrong in that process, and I think the athletic directors and presidents on the collegiate level are struggling with this issue, and unfortunately, we think that the hiring report card is a good form of accountability. We look at it as an instrument for positive change. I'm not sure if the hiring report card as it stands itself today is strong enough.
You think we need legislative action? Could we be going towards the route of a Rooney Rule? Is that something that might help?
I can only say this. I can say on the NFL side they're doing something right. And if it comes to a point, maybe it's a case with Title VII, similar to what Title IX was, that it's going to take to make the change. And unfortunately, the history tells us one thing. With social injustice, such as what I believe this is, it's taken something catastrophic or on a legal sense to really turn it around. The things that have happened or the advances are slow at best. When you look and say, like today, this year there were 32 opportunities. There were 2 hires of color. Maybe the processes work, but at the end of the day, it's what's the score? And the score is 2 out of 32. There's 32 coaches for 32 opportunities in the NFL, and 6 are hired. So it's even though it's in place, the results aren't fast enough, and it's something that needs a push.
We saw the Super Bowl where Tony Dungy and Lovie Smith faced off this year in a historic game. Do you think that has any significance to future hires in the college game?
Well, I think if you go back and look at the history of what happened, you take Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson broke through baseball. The barriers broke down. When you look at the situation that happened in the NCAA in basketball when John Thompson, Nolan Richardson had wins, Tubby Smith, they became NCAA champions. It broke barriers. We don't talk about the basketball issue. 25% coaches. Someone's fired in basketball or they hired. I mean, it's not major news. But there's always a breakthrough. And I think that if we don't see any significant positive developments that come out of in the most single-watch sporting event annually, to have an African American on each side be the head coach, be the manager of an entire operation, which is all about business and the high stakes that are available, and to see 2 coaches of color competing for the championship, if that does not send the statement or the message, then something is even more grossly wrong than what I think it is. There should be some significant changes. Consequently, I think the congressional hearing that's coming up is a result of that. And I think it's a positive result because I have always said that I've worked very close with Miles Brand in this process. Miles can only do so much. And whether this comes down to the executive committee, the president's council, understanding, there's got to be something done here. And if it's not, then, we have to take further steps and stronger steps to make it happen.